old chapel speaks to our pride of the past, and it signals to our even brighter future. In 2012, I was interviewing for this job, and my escort was bringing me to the center of campus. Old Chapel is the most recognizable building about the campus. I automatically started turning into the building, and whoever was going with me said, "No, you can't go into that building. That building is not in use." I thought that was strange, that the iconic building of this campus would be essentially condemned. Once I got the job, I came here and I said, "Can I go look inside this iconic building?" You walk in and I could understand why it had been abandoned. I could see and I could feel really the history. Coincidentally, the year I came was the year of our sesquicentennial celebrations. And I said, this is really an opportune time. What better gift to give back to the campus than to renovate this iconic building?
One of the most beloved buildings at Umass Amherst is Old Chapel. Once known as the New Chapel at the Massachusetts Agricultural College, it was constructed in 1885. It was designed by architect Stephen Earle in the popular Richardson Romanesque Revival style. Old Chapel was designed for dual purposes, as a library and a place for religious services, and the 600-person auditorium space was also used for events and commencement. In 1892, a Seth Thomas clock and a single 1,000-pound bell known as Old Aggie was installed in the tower to call students to classes and meals. In 1935, the new Goodell building became the University Library. Old Chapel was renovated and by 1937 had classrooms and faculty office spaces. Through the years, it became home to the departments of social sciences, history, languages and literature, and music.
The chapel was special. It stood out. And if you heard the bells at 8 o'clock, you knew you were late in your first class. Professor Fessenden sometimes got carried away, and if the bells started ringing in the old chapel, which meant it was noon, we just left him. And he's standing there still lecturing, and then everybody ran to Draper Hall, which was the cafeteria. Everybody just went by the bells. Saturday football games were a focal point. You would hear the bells ringing in the chapel if we had won, and if we hadn't, it sounded like a dirge. On radio that Sunday afternoon, the message came across about Pearl Harbor, and we were just stunned. And on Monday morning, when I went back to one of my regular classes, there were some empty seats. And it was just a totally different atmosphere from our carefree days of our freshman year.
The bells tolled to alert the campus to events like VE Day and the day John F. Kennedy was assassinated. When most people think of Old Chapel, they think of the glorious bell tower. But if you look down to the base of the building, you see something that's really quite poignant. Each class would carve the name of their year into the base of the building and plant ivy that used to climb up the walls of the building.
Well, I came here in 1967 as a 17-year-old, and my
First day on this campus was band camp. And so the first place I visited other than a dorm was Old Chapel. And we rehearsed here, we hung out here. You could say I kind of grew up in this building. Oh, being part of the band, it was really the center of my experience here. Well, I carried the tuba and I tried to play it. Got a few notes out every now and then. It was very difficult doing that Michigan high step, which we used to do at that time, and get enough wind through that big tuba. And in those days, they were all metal. It was physically challenging.
It's incredible to think of the number of people on a Saturday that would go in and out that door. The front ensemble, which is all the mallet percussion, and all of that had to be carried from upstairs, down the stairs, around the landing, out the door. It's what we did. I mean, we love this place. So George Parks was my band director, and he was a force of nature, of music, of motivation. How he built this band still lives on.
We discovered that the stone veneer was getting ready to fall off the building, and the tower itself really was in trouble. And that started the first restoration, which was to disassemble the entire tower. And we literally numbered every stone, took them down, and put them on pallets layer by layer. I was project manager. I knew I was either going down in history as the guy who took the old chapel tower apart and couldn't get it back together, or the guy who successfully restored it. And I'm happy to say that the latter was the case.
Well, it was closed for a long time, but when they opened it up so that people could come in and sort of see it before it's changed, I had to come in. And as soon as I walked in the door, and I went upstairs to where I used to spin my flag, and I went by George Parks' office, which was emotional, and went down the back stairs and I said goodbye. But when they opened it up, I am so incredibly happy. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I think that it's important that the whole campus gets to use it.
In 2015, Old Chapel was placed on the National Register of Historic Places, the first campus building to be so honored.
I think the restoration has been fantastic. I mean, it really exceeded everyone's expectations. It brings the past, present, and the future together. It's been a testimonial for all the past accomplishments, and the modernized presence that it currently has harkens to the exciting future that this university holds.